morning, everybody. Today we're going to do our first ride here in Girona. Are you excited?
I am excited. This is our chance to find out if the bikes work right.
Yeah.
After flying.
Fingers crossed. I think for our first ride, we're gonna take it a little bit mellow, kind of ease into riding in the area. And we're riding
Vias Verdes.
One specifically that we're riding today goes to the town of Olot. I don't know how far we're gonna get. I think you did some research on a cool cafe that we might stop at.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a bunch of cafes.
I've got the route mapped out on our GPS, and I think the trickiest part is going to be navigating to it because the roads and the streets here are like super narrow and twisty and crazy.
And for two people from kind of small town Montana,
this is a big city.
It's a city here.
Yeah. All right, let's get going. So this is the Onya River that kind of bisects the town. Really cool looking city. No one ever mentions it, but they're like giant carp down there. Okay, after the most confusing half mile in the city, we have found the start of the Vias Verdes. Laura spotted some birds.
Like a big chickadee with a long tail.
It's so wild being here. Like the bird sounds are completely different than what we're used to, and this is why our rides like take so long. Rolling through a park which apparently has a bonkers farmers market, so I think we might pedal or walk through it.
I think it's that massive trucks and people up there.
It's a pretty serious market.
This is what a market should be.
All right, that was beyond a farmer's market. That was like an everything market. So as we were walking, they had some cool little unicorn slippers, so we're coming back for those next week.
Yes, we are. Along with everything else that you need for like €1 or €2.
Yeah. The trail is mostly signed, but very confusing. So definitely handy to have a GPS to find your way around.
Yes, I'm just super confused to all of this, but I think that's where we are.
Yeah.
But it took us like a half hour to come from like the eye over here. Hopefully it's more straightforward.
Yeah, once we get out of town. I think one thing that's super fascinating is whenever you see pictures or videos about Girona, all you see is the quiet medieval city center, but it's actually like a functional city and a pretty good sized one, especially compared to Missoula. This is like the big city. Okay, so right out of town, you pass this section with a bunch of small farms, which is pretty cool. A pretty stark contrast to all the roundabouts in the city. Another interesting thing is the climate. It's October, it's probably gonna be in the 70s or 80s, but it's kind of humid. You know, we're used to like a semi-arid climate. The air is definitely a little bit thicker here. It's not quite, you know, the south or east coast thick, but more humid than the west. What do you think?
Yes. I mean, here we were afraid we were going to be cold, and I don't think that's the issue.
Hola. So that was interesting. There were horses on the trail like we have in the States. Definitely followed the cyclists in front of me to see how they would pass. I guess similar rules. You kind of slow down, make some verbal contact, and then get the okay.
The okay from the horse rider. Yeah.
part of the history of the Via Verdes is that it used to be a railroad. So what's cool is they've also maintained some of the old railroad stop buildings. This one in particular was a narrow gauge track, so that's why it's so, I guess, narrow. I guess the US equivalent would be our rails to trails. What services do they have here?
Well, it looks like there should be a bathroom that's currently out of service, but they do have a sign over there that says there's a Wi-Fi, and there is a water spigot right there.
Who needs to use a bathroom? We can just check the gram. So we've popped out of that canopy of farms and trees and are now passing proper little town. Okay, so we've hit a part. We're paralleling a main road. So from what I understand, it does this for quite a bit, depending on what stretch you're on. So a little noisy, but not too bad. I mean, I think a much better alternative than riding on the road at this point. One thing I can't get over, however, is just like how lush it feels. I guess in my head, I always think of Spain as a much like drier place, and there's probably parts like that, but this area that we're in, pretty green. Check out this tiny little bridge. So we're here at a park in the small town of Angles, which is just off the trail. And what's cool is there are actually petanque courts. I've gotten into that recently, so it's cool to see fields where you could actually play it. I think we're gonna stop at a cafe in town, get some coffee. But one thing we've discovered so far is there isn't as much services in terms of bathrooms. So here's one here. And another pro tip.
Always pack your own TP.
Yeah, for some reason the bathrooms aren't usually well stocked, let's say, so it behooves you to carry your own. I think the trail so far has been a pretty good introduction to riding in Spain. A little bit less overwhelming than just riding on the roads right away.
Yes, I mean everything looks different here, so you know, just it's clearly not in English, and the buildings look different, and the road signs are different, and so it's just it's nice to kind of get some bearings without also having to think about cars.
All right, got our coffees. This is a Cafe Solo, which
Cafe Solo.
is like a single espresso shot. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, that's strong.
Sugar in there.
So we had our coffee, and we're headed back to Girona. We didn't go very far, but it's one of those things where everything is so new that it just feels so overwhelming. Aside from just the language difference, just getting a sense of the unspoken rules of the road and riding. Not the biggest ride today, but a good way to acclimate and get a sense of what it's like to ride a bike here. What'd you see?
I have no idea. Got like a bright kind of orange red like head and neck, and not one I've ever seen before.
We're still trying to figure out how to say birding in Spanish. Maybe you guys know what we come up with.
I think we should just go with pajarando.
Pajarando. They were like, is it buscar los pájaros or mirar? I'm sure someone will tell us. All right, we just went through using Merlin, and we ID'd it as a European robin. So probably not the most exotic bird here, but new to us. Yay! We survived our first ride. It was like the longest short ride ever.
It was beautiful and a fairly easy little ride, but also totally overwhelming when everything is completely different from what you're used to.
We've been living in like small, well, medium-sized town Montana, And this feels like a proper city compared to Missoula and places we've been recently. So
Yes.
a lot to take in.
But I'm doing better with the Spanish.
That's true.
You say.
So I think this is a good taster, you know, let us catch our bearings. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed our first ride in Spain. A little confusing, but still fun. We're definitely gonna venture out some more during our stay here, so be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, keep the supple side.